as you can see, my tank is infested with duckweed. It was more than 3 times worse last night. You couldn't see anything. There was no clear spot except for right where the water pump was pumping the water. Even with the agitation turned on, that just wouldn't even move. At least now I've got some clear spots. Admittingly, I added some duckweed back just to show how well it can filter this out. This was almost clear of duckweed earlier today. I just scooped out some of the duckweed and put it back in the tank to show you how it clears it out. Even some of the problems was, you'd scoop it out with a cup or you'd scoop it out with your hands or a net, and it just attaches to everywhere. It is definitely herpes or a bane of your fish tank, even though it's great for clearing out your nitrogens and your other contaminants. All you need is a water bottle, cut the bottom off, save that for later. I cut little flanges in there. I don't cut the V's because I like the flange because I can adjust them as I need to. Even adding a suction cup to keep it up against the wall of the tank. Little filter media in the bottom, so that way it doesn't clog up the pump. Then a little bit of fiber cloth that you just tuck in on top of that. Just shove that right down in there. Take the bottom, cut some holes in it to allow the water to go through, and then just push that down in there so that way it holds the filter media right where it needs to stay. And you just tuck it in nice and tight. Yeah, it shouldn't go anywhere like that. Next thing you need is a power head. Just a standard power head. I like the water bottle because it fits really snug right on this lip. Just need to put down the camera while I push that on there. Give 1 second. There we go. Now it's real tight on there, as you can see. It's not going to come off. And then just take the power head and stick it down inside your tank. And here it is inside the tank, kind of just sitting there. I don't have it turned on. And it's just upside down power head attached to that. And then I'll turn it on, and it starts skimming the water, taking the duckweed right off with it. Not trapping any guppies. There's fry throughout that tank, and I have yet to have any of that even fry caught. So it just pulls that duckweed off, compacts it down, leave it on for 10-15 minutes, and it'll really makes a big difference. You can see it starting to circulate around, and it just goes around. And again, I leave the little flaps there so you can just reach down and adjust them. As you can see, it's starting to clog up in a couple of small spots, but it's still packing down into there. Let's see if we can clear up some of these clogs. There we go. That's a little bit better. And bend this one. Yeah, see, that's the reason why I don't do the V-cuts. I can just bend them and adjust them as I need it. And then you just let it go for a little bit. You can already notice the difference. It's thinning out over here. And just circulating around and going right to the cup, getting sucked right down. As you can see, the horns were still pretty clogged. I'm going to have to move that. But I'll turn on the air, help circulate it some more. That helps push it off to where I need it to be. And if you have any floating plants, just give it a few minutes. And then you, kind of like with my hornswort, you can just kind of shake it off, buried underneath the water. Yeah, the hornswort's starting to clog it up, it looks like. So I'll move that out of the way. There it goes. As you see, this side is almost clear of duckweed in just a few minutes. And then I'll just keep shaking out the hornswort to try to free out whatever I can from it. Move it off to this side. This side's almost completely clear. As you see, it's almost clear. This is what I scraped off last night with this. Pretty thick. There was a lot in there. I dried it out for my animals. So as you see, it works. A lot cleaner, easier, and doesn't cost hardly anything if you already have a power head. Again, hope you enjoyed this, and have a great day.